Rain tapped softly against the windows of a high-tech garage nestled just outside Houston. Inside, fluorescent lights buzzed above an exotic black prototype engine, sleek, massive, and completely dead. Mechanics in jumpsuits surrounded it, scratching their heads and whispering among themselves. No one could figure it out. The engine was the heart of a multi-million-dollar electric truck project, a private venture backed by powerful investors. And standing in the middle of the chaos in his tailored suit and polished shoes was CEO Landon Chase. Late 40s, sharp as a knife, and known for one thing: he didn't tolerate failure. 6 engineers, 3 software analysts, and none of you can get it to even hum, he barked. No one answered then. The door creaked open. In walked a woman in muddy boots and a flannel shirt, holding a battered metal toolbox. Her name was Maggie, late 30s, local mechanic, no degrees, no flashy resume, just grease on her hands and something calm in her eyes. Landon turned, raised an eyebrow. "You lost. I heard you had an engine no one could fix," she said quietly. "Mind if I take a look?" The room chuckled. Someone snorted. Another muttered, "Now we're bringing in farm hands." Landon studied her for a moment, then smirked. "You really think you can fix that?" He pointed at the engine like it was a wild beast. "That thing's smarter than most people." She set her toolbox down. "Won't know till I try." He folded his arms. "All right, you've got 30 minutes. If you make it worse, you're paying for it." Everyone watched as Maggie stepped forward, unfazed by the high-tech monster in front of her. She didn't plug in a laptop, didn't run diagnostics. She simply listened, then placed her hand gently on one of the cooling valves. Something about her confidence made the room go still. And then, she said something no one expected. "This engine doesn't have a software problem," she murmured. "It has a pulse problem." "A pulse problem?" Landon blinked. "What did you just say?" She turned and said, "It's trying to run like a machine, but someone forgot it was designed to act like a heart." Everyone froze. Something was different about this woman, something no one could explain. Landon crossed his arms tighter, staring at Maggie like she'd just spoken another language. "A heart. It's an engine, not a person." Maggie calmly pulled out a small flashlight and crouched beside the base. "You designed it to self-regulate under variable loads, right? Mimicking biological response patterns." Landon blinked, suddenly uneasy. That was classified information. Only a handful of top engineers even knew the engine's internal regulation theory. "How do you know that?" She didn't answer. Instead, she reached into the valve housing and twisted something gently. A soft, metallic click echoed. A hush fell over the room. "Where'd you learn this stuff?" one of the younger techs asked. Leaning forward, Maggie shrugged. "I used to fix water pumps in my dad's barn. They behave a lot like these, just without the AI." She tapped on a small component next to the core. "Your pulse converter's misaligned. That's why it's shorting. It's not broken. It's just scared." "Scared," someone repeated, laughing nervously. Maggie smiled faintly. "When a heart senses danger, it slows down, holds back. This engine's doing the same. It's reading your environment as hostile, too much noise, too many hands." She looked around the room. "Sometimes machines don't need more tech. They need to feel safe." Landon scoffed. "You think machines feel? I think smart machines respond to energy. Same as people do." She twisted the alignment tool one final time. The engine let out a soft whir. Lights flickered on. A deep, rhythmic hum filled the room, steady, powerful, alive. Gasps broke out. Tools dropped to the floor. "It's on," whispered a senior engineer. "That's impossible." Landon stepped forward slowly, eyes locked on the humming engine, like it had just come back from the dead. "It hasn't run in 8 months." Maggie stood up, brushing her hands. "Guess it just needed someone to listen." He stared at her in disbelief. "Who are you?" But Maggie just gave a modest smile and started packing up her tools. She hadn't come for applause. She didn't even look surprised. But everyone else in that room, especially Landon, suddenly realized she wasn't just a mechanic. She was something else entirely. Landon watched Maggie tighten the last latch on her toolbox, still rattled by what just happened. The engine his pride and obsession was alive, not because of his elite team or his millions in funding, but because of this woman in scuffed boots who hadn't even asked for permission. "You're not leaving," he said suddenly, stepping in her path. She paused. "I only came to help." "You don't just walk in, resurrect an engine we've buried twice, and walk out like it's nothing," Landon snapped. "You're going to tell me who you are." For real, the room waited, silent. Maggie looked at him for a long second, then finally sighed. "Fine, you ever hear of Project Kinergy?" Landon froze. That name hadn't been spoken in years. "Government classified," he muttered. "Prototype energy systems, biosynced engines, canceled a decade ago." "Buried," she corrected, "because the tech was too advanced for its time and too many egos got in the way." Landon's voice dropped. "You worked on it." "I built the first heartbeat sensor module," Maggie said simply. "The one your engine just responded to." Landon took a step back. "That's not possible. Those developers were scientists, engineers, specialists." "I was a specialist," Maggie said, her tone calm but firm. "Until I walked away. Too many people trying to play God with machines. You disappeared, I chose peace. But I never stopped listening to engines. They talk. You know if you're quiet enough." Behind them, the engine hummed again, deeper this time, as if it recognized her. One of the techs whispered, "We've had hundreds of hands on it. No one could get past the sync threshold. Not even MIT guys, because they treated it like a problem," she said, picking up her toolbox again. Not like a living rhythm, Landon looked like he'd seen a ghost. His company had built an empire around innovation, and yet the key had been hidden in a small-town mechanic the whole time. "Maggie," he said softer, "now I want you on the team. Name your price." But she shook her head. "I don't fix engines for money, Mr. Chase." "Then why did you come?" She turned back with a gentle smile. "Because someone had to remind your engine how to breathe." Landon stood frozen as Maggie walked past him, toolbox in hand, boots leaving faint prints on the spotless floor. Every eye in the room followed her, stunned by what they had just witnessed, not just the engine running, but the way she spoke to it, like it was alive. "Like it mattered, Maggie, wait," Landon called, his voice less commanding now. Almost humble. She stopped but didn't turn. "You said you walked away from this world," he said. "But we need you now. This engine, it's not just a project, it's our future." She slowly turned to face him, her expression soft but unshaken. "Then stop treating the future like a machine. Start treating it like something with a soul." A long silence followed. Landon exhaled, then signaled to one of his assistants, "Clear the room." The staff hesitated, then obeyed. Doors shut behind them, leaving just the two of them alone beside the softly humming engine. "I'll be honest," Landon said. "We've poured billions into this. It's the centerpiece of our next-gen vehicle line. If it fails, everything collapses. Investors, jobs, lives." "This isn't just about pride," Maggie nodded. "I know, that's why I showed up. But how," he asked, "how did you even hear about this?" "We didn't make the engine's failure public." "I didn't hear about the engine," she said gently. "I heard the panic, the desperation. It echoes louder than any machine." Landon looked at her, truly looked at her, and saw not just a woman in old clothes, but someone who understood things his best engineers never could. Not because she had more data, but because she had more heart. "What would it take," he asked, "to get you to stay?" Maggie gave a small smile. "Trust and silence. Let the machine speak for once." He extended his hand. "Then let's begin again." She took it. Months later, the truck powered by Maggie's recalibrated engine was unveiled. It didn't just run, it responded. Smooth bumps, adjusted to moods, whispered back in its own quiet way. The world was stunned. Reporters called it revolutionary. Landon called it something else, alive. And somewhere in the crowd, a woman in muddy boots watched quietly, already listening for the next machine that forgot how to breathe.